Hello, it is Wednesday, September 25th, 2019. Today is an absolute banger of a show. I talk about the disrespect that is being shown to the Indianapolis, Indiana area. It's Matt Hasselbeck's birthday. Happy birthday to him. Also, Will Smith's birthday. Big happy birthday to him as well. Was going to clap, but I don't want my friend Matt Hasselbeck to feel like we're more happy about Will Smith's birthday than Matt Hasselbeck's birthday, because both of those men are legendary individuals. Matt and I will be in Memphis both today and tomorrow calling the Navy-Memphis Tigers game. We'll be talking to the Memphis Tigers head coach, Coach Norville, in the second hour. In this first hour, we got a lot to talk about. There's two undefeated matchups this weekend. Chiefs-Lions, Pats-Bills. Who will win? What do we think is going to happen? Who knows? Today's going to be a good one. 1-833-622-3331. We'll get to your phone calls whenever we can. Can't wait to hear from you. Go ahead and tweet hashtag Pat McAfee Show Live if you want to be involved. We got polls, we got takes, we got life, and most of all, we got Chase Rice playing a banger. Foxy, play that thing.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is Chase Rice. He just announced a new tour that is beginning this week, I believe. If he comes to your town, go ahead and see him. I would dare say, if you bring your lady with you, he'll warm her up. He's an incredibly handsome man. I'm joined by the boys here in Indianapolis before we hop on a plane and fly to Memphis. Very, very thankful for just the life that we're living. I had a nice reflection period last night. My lady said, and Nick found this pretty hilarious, as did a couple of my college friends who reached out to me immediately upon posting this on my IG story. Our schedule is not conducive for me to sleep. Okay, there's not a lot of sleeping happening in my life. So I've been more exhausted here these last couple weeks than I've ever been in my entire life. Not upset about it, though. I'm loving every minute of it, living a dream right now. But my lady says, since I'm exhausted, I'm finally letting myself feel feelings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like your guard's down?
Yeah.
It's a little more vulnerable than usual?
Exactly. I was crying during things. I was watching that red bandana story about Wells from Boston College, bawling my eyes out. I was crying at another movie the other day at the house. I mean, there's a lot more emotions in my life now, and my lady loves this, right? But for me, I'm trying to keep them tucked down, right?
Yeah.
My entire life, I've tried to just kind of walk around. I'm like, hey, let's just have a good time. I'll bury that down. It's kind of happening with West Virginia right now, to be honest. I'm getting a full-on reemergence in the West Virginia community after what was said on my show a couple weeks ago, where I was like, listen, I enjoyed my time at West Virginia. It didn't end great, I think, for both parties, and it's always been something I've buried deep down inside of my soul. Always buried it deep down. I'm just not going to talk about it. Don't want to think about it. It was a bad time in my life. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Now, all of a sudden, Coach Neil Brown is mentioning me in his press conference, saying incredible things. West Virginia Mountaineer Nation has been reaching out to me like, Pat, we love you. It's actually been a pretty cool thing. But when you look in the mirror and you start finally feeling feelings for the first time in about probably 32 years, it's an interesting world, but we're very lucky to be here. Speaking of feeling feelings, I got into my feelings just last night. I was watching PTI. I was watching all these other talking head shows. And a conversation happened because of a situation that I was in. So I was on Get Up, and Rex Ryan, out of nowhere, just took a broad shot at Baker Mayfield, right? He's overrated as hell. We know Baker Mayfield's overrated as hell, but Freddie Kitchens isn't helping him out. And I was like, whoa, Rex. Let's go back to that thing you just said, saying Baker Mayfield, who's only 17 games into his career, is overrated as hell. Learning a new offense with new weapons, new toys, everything like that. I mean, that can be tough. Peyton Manning, I think, threw 75 interceptions his first year. I mean, there's a lot of room to grow here. So saying somebody's overrated 17 games in is a difficult thing. Now, granted, he's in a lot of commercials. He's all over the place. The dog pound and the Browns were a hot talking topic. That's tough. That's an all off season. So we heard about it. And have they underwhelmed? For sure. But to say somebody's overrated as hell just 17 games into a career is very interesting. That has spun into a conversation where people are like, okay, Lamar Jackson has been disrespected basically his entire career. They're saying he's a running back. The Ravens had to change their entire offense for him. He's kind of been made fun of and poked fun of by all the OG quarterbacks, saying this guy's an actual quarterback, he's this. So they started saying, which quarterback will have a more successful career, Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson? And when I say this, I mean this. I like both of them. I'm a big fan of both of them. Everybody knows I'm on the Baker Mayfield train. I'm the one that yelled at Rex Ryan for saying he's overrated as hell. I love what Lamar Jackson has been able to do because anytime you can prove people wrong, I absolutely love that. But the name that is being left out of this conversation that I do not like one bit is Jacoby Brissett. Technically, this is only Jacoby Brissett's second season playing football. He's only 20 starts into his NFL career. Not playing football, playing professional football. He had a couple starts for the Patriots when Tom Brady was suspended due to ball situation that happened in a game I played in.
Yeah.
That it was a bit overblown. But he has gotten a chance here to really take this team and make it his own. Everybody's talking, who's going to last longer, Lamar or Baker? Who's going to last longer, Lamar or Baker? Already crowning Patrick Mahomes as the greatest young quarterback ever, which, by the way, makes a lot of sense. Patrick Mahomes is in a situation with Andy Reid, though, and with a lot of weapons where Andy Reid's taking care of him. So I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a very successful career. I think Baker Mayfield and Freddie Kitchens are going to have to figure out how to take care of Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield is listed at 6'1", 214 pounds or something like that. Even though we all probably agree he's probably 6 foot tall, but in the NFL, sizes are normally to scale because at the combine, when they weigh you and height you, they literally push your head down as far as you possibly can. I was 5'11" and 7/8 the first time I was measured because I was so embarrassed to have my shirt off in front of 100 people. I was basically, my shame was weighing me down. And then the next time I got, it was like 6'1". I was like, I don't know how I grew an entire inch and an eighth, but I'm excited about that. So I think Baker Mayfield, his listed height, probably a little bit overblown, but not by much. Lamar Jackson, same thing. He's like 6'1", 215 pounds as well. Kind of a smaller guy. But both offenses require them to almost take a beating. Freddie Kitchens is using the Bruce Arians offensive style, which is a no risk it, no biscuit type operation. When you have weapons, you got to get the ball in their hands. Everything's a 7-step drop. Everything is a potential sit back there and almost hold up type ball where he's going to get blown up and beat up by defensive linemen, especially if you don't have an offensive line. I think Baker Mayfield could obviously have a Drew Brees-like career, but what Drew Brees has is an offense that is designed by Sean Payton. He gets the ball out of his hand quickly. He has an offensive line that protects him. They're going to have to do that in Cleveland if Baker Mayfield wants any career at all. Remember, the Bruce Arians offense with no offensive line is basically what happened to Andrew Luck whenever he was just getting his ass kicked. We were winning games, though. We were winning games. It was great. He was putting up big numbers. He broke all of Peyton's records for rookie year, but he was just getting his ass kicked, which eventually, took the soul out of the kid.
You were chiseling away his longevity, basically.
Could that happen to Baker Mayfield? I'm not sure. I think he has a very competitive edge. He loves where he's at. I'm not sure. Lamar Jackson, it is 100% on Lamar Jackson to be an athlete for how they are playing him. If he gets a rolled ankle, sprained ankle, that could definitely hinder the way he plays football. Now, granted, I think he's an absolute weapon, but when we're talking longevity and great career, both of those two things aren't really set up for success. Jacoby Brissett, though, who is basically the same year as though all three of those guys, second year quarterback basically, is set up for success. Frank Reich is designing plays to put it right in Jacoby Brissett's wheelhouse. Jacoby Brissett has an offensive line in front of him, not only with Earl Gray, Mr. Teabag, Quentin Nelson, not only with Ryan Kelly, Alabama center who's finding his footing, Anthony Costanzo, West Virginia boy, and I don't know who the right tackle is. I should have known. But they have a good offensive line. They have a good play designer. They have weapons on offense, and that team, even defensively, looks damn good. I think Jacoby Brissett outlasts Baker. I think Jacoby Brissett outlasts Lamar. And then if we throw in the TB12 treatment, who we know that Jacoby Brissett is good friends with Tom Brady, I think Jacoby Brissett outlasts Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is getting anywhere near the amount of respect he deserves. He didn't even know this was going to be his team going into the season. All OTAs, all May, all April, all June, even most of July into August, this was Andrew Luck's team. Jacoby Brissett, you were just a placeholder until we get Andrew Luck back fully healthy. The plays and the system were all designed completely around Andrew Luck. Jacoby, if you have to go in a pinch, you'll be able to do it. 8 days before the season starts, all of a sudden it's Jacoby Brissett's offense. We were talking to Navy's head coach yesterday. in a conference call, not on this show, but in a conference call that lasted 3 hours, by the way. I was on a 3-hour conference call with the Navy head coaches, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, everybody. It was very nice of them to take the amount of time, but learning for the game. And the head coach talked about how last year they didn't give Malcolm Perry the mindset that he was a starting quarterback. They had him playing other positions, but putting him at quarterback empowers him. At a quarterback position, whenever you're told you're the guy, that's an empowering thing. Jacoby Brissett, the last 2 seasons he's gotten to actually play, he came in a week before the season started and was basically told, like, oh, it's your team now. Oh, it's your team now. I think as Jacoby continues to grow, continues to settle into his role, as Frank Reich continues to empower him as the leader of the team, you're our franchise guy. Chris Ballard pays him, breaks him off. I think Jacoby Brissett's only going to get better and better and better. And with that offensive line in front of him, he's set up for success. Unlike Baker and unlike the Lamar situation in Baltimore. Patrick Mahomes is obviously incredible. He's magical to watch. I am a fan of him, but I think in the long run, 10 years down the road right now, we're going to have a conversation where we're like, you know what? Jacoby was completely overlooked by everybody except for the geniuses in Indianapolis. Indiana! I honestly believe that.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Really?
Except for the Mahomes part.
You think he's going to last longer? You don't think he'll last longer than Mahomes?
Are we talking about like injury-wise or just how good they're going to be?
I just think in the end, whenever we're having a conversation at the end of their careers, I think Patrick Mahomes is an electric lightning rod. I think that Chiefs team is incredible. Remember, they were only 6 inches away from going to the Super Bowl last year if D Ford just lines up on sides. Now, granted, D Ford, that type of stuff does happen late in the game, especially with mental fatigue. You don't think about that type of stuff. I mean, that's tough. But they are a team that's electric. Andy Reid draws up incredible plays. But I think Patrick Mahomes even at some point is going to do too much and something's going to happen. I think he's absolutely magical with a football. I think he could throw it forever. But I also believe that Jacoby Brissett is as well. And I think Jacoby has not had an entire offseason yet. He still has yet. They're 2-1 right now. He's number 6 in passer rating right now in the entire NFL. And he did not know that he was going to be the guy all offseason. We're only 3 weeks into this thing, and he's only been the starter for 4 weeks. I mean, it's a crazy situation that Jacoby Brissett has been put in, and nobody's talking about him. And you know what? I assume he likes it. I assume the Colts like it. But it's my job as a person that talks into microphones to say, hey, Jacoby Brissett deserves a lot more respect than he's getting, and I think he's only going to get better.
Yeah, honestly. I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg with him.
Yes.
Where with the others, we're getting pretty much a full look of what they're going to be.
What they're capable of.
Yeah, what they're capable of.
Patrick Mahomes is throwing balls out of stadium. That's incredible. 80-yard dimes. That's incredible. Throwing the ball back foot, fade away, 60-yard dimes right in the breadbasket. Incredible. Extending plays. Baker Mayfield bringing in energy to a city that hadn't had a football energy in a long time. Their fans are loyal, but ain't nobody had any expectations for the dog pound. Years past, they actually locked up Bud Light and said, you can't drink this until you get a win. This year, Cleveland was going in there. They're bringing in high-named free agents, which would have never happened without Baker Mayfield, a quarterback. I think Baker is damn good. I think he can make plays. I think Lamar Jackson also, he came out, perfect passer rating. He has stumbled a couple of times here. Or last week he stumbled because they had him throwing the ball 43 times, which might be them trying to protect Lamar, by the way, having him throw more as opposed to run. But I think he's a real weapon whenever he throws the ball about 20 times. That was what he had as a perfect passer rating. Let him use his feet a little bit more. But he sprains an ankle. He gets hit a little bit too hard. He's a little bit rough. That could definitely affect him. I mean, RG3 took the world by storm his rookie season with the Washington Redskins, and then all of a sudden injuries start piling up, and bang, you can't do it anymore. I think Lamar Jackson is a much more durable quarterback than RG3, but anytime you play a position where you can get hit a lot, no matter what it is on football, the chances of you getting hurt are obviously high. I mean, that's just the way the game is. Jacoby Brissett is that perfect model right now where they have him in a pocket. He'll run if he has to. He's a good slider. He's smart. And that offensive line with Chris Ballard's big brain, I think will protect him for years and years to come. I like Jacoby Brissett a lot.
Do you think that Baker's lack of accuracy, for a better word for it, and his lack of size combined with lack of speed keeps him from being in the Drew Brees conversation as a comparison?
I don't know. I think he's faster than Drew Brees.
Yeah, I'd argue he's a better athlete.
Yeah,
than
he's a
Drew
better
Brees.
athlete than Drew Brees. Drew Brees is in the pocket, right? Drew Brees is in the pocket.
But Drew Brees has those other attributes that he does not.
Yes, exactly. Drew Brees
So
is
he's
in
0 for 3. Brees is 2 for 3.
Well, Drew Brees is also, I mean, he's been in the league a long time, so he knows every single defense. I think Baker's big flaw here, and I'm no quarterback guru, right? I'm no quarterback guru. But whenever I watch him, it seems as if he's checking into plays that he thinks are going to work against a defense. And with Wade Phillips, he was just disguising some things, and Baker was getting tricked, right? He said he always looks up to Brett Favre. He said, Brett Favre's my guy, Brett Favre's my guy. Brett Favre didn't even know what a nickel defense was. So you got to respect the fact that he's just a gunslinger, let it loose, I'm going to go play. But at some point, Baker's going to learn all these different defensive things. He's going to know what to do. Will it come sooner than later? You would hope if you're a Browns fans. But I think if you looked into Hard Knocks, Baker Mayfield's a field guy. I want to play. I'm a competitive guy. He's not going to be staying there for 10 hours watching film. I mean, that's just not the way Baker plays. And by the way, that's what makes him good, and that could potentially be what hurts him here early. I think he'll figure it out eventually. I don't think he's overrated. I think he is a guy that has a lot of promise. I just think the guy who's underrated in this entire thing is Jacoby Brissett. We got Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football on NFL Network. We have James Jones, who's on NFL Network more than any other human on earth, even Rich Eisen. We got him on the other side of the break to break that all down. Tweet us, hashtag Pat McAfee Show Live. We also got a poll running right now on the internet. Over 12,000 votes on who's more likely to upset this weekend as an undefeated team. A lot of people thinking the Pats are going to get upset by the Bills. I think that's 100% because people hate the Patriots and want the Bills to win. I'm all in on the Lions. I don't think they beat the Chiefs, but I think they're a lot more likely to get the upset than the Bills are. We'll talk about that as well. James Jones on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Are we clear? Hello.
DAZN and MLB present Change Up, the live rip-around show that changes how you watch the ballgame.
Every night, this is going to be the place to be.
Jump in and out of the best plays as they happen with our team of incredible hosts.
What?
And big-name guests.
Hunter Pence, you've done work. That's right. Rags Electric Factory. Wait, it's time for Bat Flip, boss. We're whipping him around, baby. Whip it, whip it.
Live every night, only on DAZN.
Hey, whenever we have one of those, let me know. I'll throw into it. Like, hey, by the way, if you're watching along at home or on the DAZN app, there's a lot more than just our show. There's a lot of fights, and there's also an incredible baseball show called Change Up. In the press release that announced I was going to be on DAZN, they said I was going to be a part of that show. The good thing about that is I know nothing about baseball, but I was once a professional baseball player. Documentary now available. Pat McAfee, professional baseball player. People are saying that's potentially the greatest baseball documentary in history. No, that wasn't what they were saying. People are saying it's the greatest comedic sports documentary of all time.
Yeah, I think you could say best baseball documentary history of all time. That made no sense.
In
But
the history of all time.
yeah.
I don't mind sitting down. What's that? Oh, does it? That was earned. That was a real player vote. thanks, man. Pretty good, huh? Yes. I don't know why I let the Mahomes thing slip out there. I mean, I was just kind of talking crazy there. But I think I believe it. Because Mahomes always has ankles. You know, like his ankle's hurt, this is hurt. At some point, that'll all come. I think the TB12 thing is a real. What's that? Yeah, Jacoby, though. I think that'll happen as well. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think Frank Wright will.
See the Norville?
We are live back on Westwood 1. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Coach Norville, who Diggs was just chatting about right there, will be joining us in the second hour. Memphis Tigers head football coach. Joining us now is a man who was a Packer. He was the first guy to wear a hoodie under his pads. The NFL hated it. They banned it. And he's on the NFL Network every day, all day. And if he's not on there, he's normally on the Checkdown Twitter account. Man who's great with the mic, ladies and gentlemen, James Jones. All right, James Jones.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, how are you, boss man? How's life? Everything good? You're dominating the media world right now.
Man, I'm living the dream, man. I'm trying to be like you, man. You blowing up, dude. You big time.
You know what? I am. I'm joking. All right, let's get to this, James. You're involved in the NFL media every single day. You hear what everybody's saying. Right now, what people are saying is Aaron Rodgers is the 26th ranked quarterback in the NFL right now. Aaron Rodgers is a premier quarterback who is not performing up to his snuff. This morning on one of the other talking shows, they said Gardner Minshew was a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, who's arguably going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. They got the Philadelphia Eagles, who are wounded birds right now, who are a couple drops away from being undefeated. How do you see Thursday night going, and how do you see Aaron Rodgers performing?
Man, I see Thursday night going, man. I think this is the time that Aaron Rodgers is going to explode, man, and have one of those big games, man. But what people don't understand is this the first time in the offense? You know, this is his first year. It's 3 games into the offense. As you can see, each game they do a couple of things a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? And yes, second half lately they've been, you know, kind of hitting the wall. But this offense is going to explode. And if this defense keeps playing that way, this offense. If Aaron Rodgers is the worries, then the Packers are in good hands. I see that right now. If he's the problem on the football team and he got to get it going, I promise you that this team is going to get it going. But I don't know where all this legal stuff is coming, 26th ranked quarterback, but I'm taking Aaron Rodgers in the shootout over anybody any day.
Amen. I'm with you there. Short week, too, so maybe the Eagles didn't have as much time to prepare for this new offense. Speaking of new offense, do you think that's why Aaron and LaFleur are still trying to figure each other out? Aaron had McCarthy for his entire career. One offense, one system has basically turned into an Aaron Rodgers offensive system there with McCarthy. Now LaFleur comes in. Everybody's saying that LaFleur's first 10 plays, his scripted first plays are incredible. His in-game adjustments maybe haven't been able to keep up yet thus far. But with Aaron Rodgers learning the offense as we continue to go, week 6, week 7, he's going to become a real threat. Do you see the same exact thing as I do?
Oh, absolutely. And even when I was out there in training camp and from talking to Devontae Adams, talking to Aaron Rodgers, you know, you always got confidence in yourself no matter what. You know what I mean? But you know that it's going to be growing pains. You know that, you know, we're still trying to figure out, okay, who does best in this offense? Who runs the best routes on third down? Who can we get in on second down to do these things? So they're still trying to figure out all that stuff with the weapons they have. And so they knew it was kind of going to be a slow start. Now, it's a positive that the defense stepped up and they're winning these games, but they knew offensively that it was going to be some growing pains. It was going to be a slow start. But talking to them, every time they turn on the film, they keep telling me, we're right there. We're right there. Couple plays here, couple plays there. We're right there from blowing these games open. So I'm excited about it because just hearing them talking to them, knowing that, okay, watching film is one or two plays that we really could blow these games up and have, instead of having 27 points, we got 40 points, and that's a big difference.
Okay, so also J.K. Scott and Mason Crosby winning them games. Speaking of overreaction, the Philadelphia Eagles are literally – whoa. Is that us? Him? Us? James, you there?
I'm here.
Did you just hear that massive shot to our ears that everybody just got in the studio? Did that
No, I didn't get one of my ears.
Oh, you're lucky. I mean, I think I might have just went deaf, but let's continue. Speaking of overreaction, the Philadelphia Eagles are 2 drop passes away from being perfect right now. They are 2 drop passes away from people saying Carson Wentz is all the way back. They're 2 drop passes away from the Philadelphia Eagles being looked at as a legit NFC contender. Instead, right now they're like, are the birds dead? Thursday night game, short week. The drop passes are something that can be fixed. Do you think the Eagles are going to continue to struggle in these big situations, or do you think they're going to be able to turn around and become a legit team like everybody thought they were going to be earlier in the year?
I think they'll struggle this week. But no, when you watch these games, it's kind of difficult right now to kind of fill out what kind of team this Philadelphia Eagles team is. Because, yes, they're a couple drop passes away from being 3-0. Are there half of football away from being 0-3. Because if you watch the first game of the Redskins game, they come out and they get beat up the whole first half. And we know that's a beat-up Redskins team. That's not a good football team. And if the Redskins come out and play halfway decent in that second half, they beat the Eagles at home, and the Eagles are looking at being 0-3 right now. What I see is I see an up-and-down team right now. When I look at this offense, I see an offense that, okay, I don't know what I'm going to get. Are they going to come out here, be super dominant, be explosive, and go straight down the field? Or are they going to come out here and look like, okay, Carson Wentz is not back yet, he don't got weapons around him, are they going to look like that? Because he does have weapons. I think losing Deshaun Jackson for what that offense does, that is a big blow because he stretches the field. He makes it easier on the run game. He makes it easier on the guys like Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz running those intermediate routes. He makes it easier on those guys. So him out of there is really no deep threat, you know what I mean, because Nelson Aguilar is in the slot. So I really don't know what to make of the Philly team because they are up and down right now. So I got to see them get more consistent. I don't know if they're a top team in the NFC, or I don't know if they're down there at the bottom.
Aguilar is getting buried by residents of Philadelphia currently saving and catching babies coming out of burning buildings saying they can catch, unlike Aguilar. I would assume that he's going to bounce back and make some big plays for them. I think he did that the other night. Speaking of a team that makes no big plays, although they made it a 2-score game in the fourth quarter, you mentioned them in your answer about the Eagles. The Washington Redskins and Jay Gruden seem to be dead in the water. They stink. Jay Gruden came out, though, and said, we still have a chance to turn this thing around. I'm going to stick with Case Keenum until then. How do you feel about him literally saying, well, Dwayne Haskins, you are not getting in until we have no shot at any future here? How do you feel about the way they're handling that whole situation? And also, did you notice the same thing I noticed where Dwayne Haskins was nowhere near Case Keenum all Monday night, where I thought as a young quarterback you should take that moment to learn as much as you could?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when a quarterback, whether a quarterback is playing good or bad, as a young fella, you want to be over there hearing what the coaches are saying to him, where you should be going with the ball. You just learn so much from just being there, being around guys, especially live action, game action, being able to hear the coaching points from the coaches. So I did not like that, man. I would want him over there learning. I would want him over there looking at the tablet. Okay, where should he have went with the ball? Why didn't he go here with the ball? Just so when his time comes, he doesn't make those same mistakes. But as for Case Keenum, man, and you could call me crazy, but I really don't think that he's playing that bad. You know what I mean? Yep. I think the offensive line needs some help. I mean, they're missing a good star in Big Trent, but I think the O-line needs some help. He doesn't have all day to pass it, but he's making some throws. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, he looks better than Eli was looking out there when he was playing, and that's why they went with Daniel Jones. I still feel like Case Keenum, okay, the Redskins are in some of these games. They're just not making plays late, whether it's a turnover, whether they can't run the ball, whether they can't protect or not making a throw at crucial times. But Case is not playing bad football. So I feel like you can clean up some stuff, put in some plays in the plan that, Case is comfortable with and be able to try to go out here and get some wins. But I don't think that you throw the young guy out there right now because I didn't think he was ready watching him in preseason.
I don't, and this might just be me like being an old man almost. I mean, I do have hemorrhoids and now hangovers last for 2 weeks and all that stuff. But I thought Dwayne Haskins just looked immature on Monday Night Football. Honestly, I think he did. He was the side conversations, not being around Case Keenum. And granted, in his mind, he's like, I'm better than this guy. We're getting killed. Why am I not on the field? Which, by the way, is a very fair take by him, but he should take the situation for what it is. You're going to be the quarterback of the future. Right now, just understand that you're in a learning phase and move forward. But that can be tough for a young guy. I mean, I was young once and very, very dumb, so I can understand that. Speaking of young and not very, very dumb, Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones replaces Eli Manning, gets a win against the Buccaneers. Now everybody's crowning this kid as the greatest rookie offensive player in maybe the history of the NFL. How do you feel about Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, in the way the Giants handled the entire situation, Mr. Jones?
Man, I love Danny. I love the way the Giants handled the situation. I was telling people on TV that Eli was on a short leash just because of how he's played over the last couple years. And if he came in and the Giants started 0-2, that it will be Danny time. I mean, the New York Giants have a young football team. Why have a veteran quarterback that's not getting the job done staying in there till week 8 or something when the season's over? If you're losing, let Danny come in there, grow up with Saquon Barkley, grow up with Shepard, grow up with these guys. So when it's his time next year, they could start off on a good foot. I did not think he was going to come in there and be Danny Dimes like that. You know, I didn't think he would play that well. But this kid has all the tools it takes to be special. Yes, you play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I like Tampa Bay's defense. But something this week, Pat, is telling me that the Washington Redskins is going to get after them. And it's going to be some different headlines. Do I still believe in Danny Dimes? Yes. But I think this week the Redskins going to make it rough on them.
Oh, that would be tough for Dwayne Haskins to have to swallow that, too. If Case Keenum goes in there and wins that thing, especially when Dwayne was like, I'm going to make him pay. I'm going to make him pay. I'm excited for the future. There's a nice young crop of quarterbacks. Now, granted, there is a dearth of quarterbacks in the NFL right now that you seem like you can build a franchise around, but the young ones seem to be getting it. I just went on an entire rant about how Jacoby Brissett is not getting enough credit as being one of these young quarterbacks that could really do something. Patrick Mahomes is the guy that's been crowned already, obviously, because he breaks defenses. Everything that he can do with Andy Reid's magical brain is incredible. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to be a 10-year guy of just dominance as a la Tom Brady, a la Aaron Rodgers, or do you think this is kind of a flash in the pan couple-year thing until people figure out that, oh, this guy can do – I don't even know how you'd figure him out, to be honest with you, but do you think Patrick Mahomes lasts a long time?
Exactly what you just said. I don't even know how you figure him out. Definitely he lasts a long time. I mean, you're talking about a guy that there's not a throw on the field that he can't make.
He's so good.
You know, oh, my goodness. Not only Patrick Mahomes, but this team reminds me of our Green Bay Packers team when we were 15-1. That Aaron Rodgers was playing out of his mind, making ridiculous throws. We have weapons after weapons after weapons on the outside. And it was like, pick your poison. You cannot stop us. We don't care what defense comes in here. We don't care who you are. We are just better than you. And our quarterback, even if we are covered, can throw us open where you have no chance. But Patrick Mahomes is special, man. I mean, you're talking about just the arm talent. As a receiver, when you walk in that building and you see him, it's like, man, I am in good hands. He is going to make me a lot of money. These dudes are going to think I'm that big-time special wide receiver, you know what I mean, because of how special my quarterback is and throwing me open, man. But Patrick Mahomes, man, you're talking about this is a kid that's going to dominate this league for a long time.
All right, before we let you get back to being on NFL Network for 23 hours a day, dominating coverage, your hoodie that you started wearing underneath the pads shocked the wave. shocked the football culture, and then the NFL said no more. They kind of banned them from everything. What was the initial thought going in there? Because I used to wear hoodies. I used to wear hoodies in preseason whenever I was trying to not be fat anymore. I would wear it in practice, but you taking it into a game really changed a lot of things. And we're showing the picture now. It seemed like it wasn't like an athletic hoodie at the beginning. It was like you had an actual just standard hoodie on before the first thing.
Oh no, yeah, it was straight hoodie style, man. Hey, I'm going out there to stay warm, man. Straight hoodie swag, man. But my first initial thought, to be honest with you, was the NFL don't care about us. that was my first initial thought, because it is negative 17 out here, and you're worried about a guy wearing a hoodie, trying to stay warm. I'm like, man, I could see if I had a purple hoodie under my Green Bay jersey or something, and I'm just acting a fool, and it's not dress code. I had a team issue green hoodie. It's negative 17. I thought in my mind, like, okay, we wear these at practice all the time. I'm extremely warm at practice. You know what? I'm wearing this thing in the game. And everybody thought, dude, you crazy. I said, bro, I ain't trying to get no style points at negative 17. I'm probably the most swagged up dude on the team. I'm from California. But I ain't worried about no swag points. It's freezing cold. So when they came to me the next day, they said, JJ, you cannot wear the hoodie. And I said, is it in the rule book? And they're like, no. I said, well, I'm putting this hoodie on there. I said, if they can't find me, I'm putting this hoodie on. And then at the end of the season, when they finally banned it and now you get fined for wearing it, I'm like, man, come on now. I'm like, Roger Goodell and those guys, man, we love y'all, but we are trying to stay warm, man. Y'all don't care about us, man. We trying to stay warm. We need them hoodies in negative 17. We probably shouldn't even be playing. Once they go any negative, they can't cover the game.
James, you're the best. I appreciate you so much. Follow along with everything James does on the internet. He's on NFL Network, and I've alluded to this a few times because we've been watching a lot more TV. Every time I turn on the television, James Jones is on there crushing it. You're absolutely dominating, just like you were on the football field, James Jones. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Have a good one. All right, we got to get to a break. It is 10:37 here on the beautiful September 25th, 2019. A lot to digest from that call. He thinks the Redskins are going to go in and beat old Danny Dimes. That's interesting because you got Rob Ryan, Greg Minuski, and the boys on the defensive side. They've been around football a long time, trying to take on a rookie quarterback. Now, granted, Duke is a very smart school. Daniel Jones has a big old brain. Maybe he'll be able to digest it, but I don't know. That's going to be the test every single week is, can the defensive coordinator confuse the hell out of Daniel Jones? He also likes the way the Packers are sitting. I like that. Mm-hmm. I like to hear that he still has communication with people in the building. They're like, yo, we're like 1-2 plays away. That means there's a lot of optimism in that building. Yep. Which is good because sometimes you got to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge your way to a win. And that's what Coach LaFleur is all about. We'll be back on the other side. We'll take some calls. We'll chat about Jacoby Brissett not getting enough love. We'll chat about the undefeated games that are happening this weekend where I don't know if either underdog's going to get a win because right now the Patriots and the Chiefs look so damn good. Mm-hmm. But we put a poll out for the people on the Twitter. 12,000 votes, I believe, have already happened. Who's more likely to get the upset? We'll talk about it on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very lucky to be broadcasting worldwide. Wide. Everybody's microphone's off, but they echoed the worldwide because that's how big of a world that we have and how many countries we're on. The DAZN app is your one-stop shop for the most electric boxing on planet Earth. Foxy, show the people what they can see on DAZN.
The dream continues. He's out. Let's get ready to rumble! Anthony Joshua.
Oh, yes, right hand
by Joshua. Comes back with a hook. Perfected now on his heels. He's hurt. Joshua tried everything, a big right hand. And this is over.
A landmark 11-fight, $365 million deal, making Canelo the highest-paid athlete on the planet.
Callum Smith has claimed the inaugural Muhammad Ali trophy. That is what is on the line. Here we go. Ryan Garcia. Can Rocky survive? And there's not much he can do. That was a headshot down the body, and that should do it.
Here today to discuss a new partnership between Gennady Golovkin and DAZN. Golovkin's going to spend the rest of his career fighting here on DAZN.
That's right, to new beginnings. Welcome to Change Up alongside Scott Rogowski. I'm Adnan Burke. Every night, this is going to be the place to be.
I always wanted to know, like, as a boxer, how is it when you step into the ring, your name and career and everything you work for is on the line?
The fighting pride of all Ireland, JT Taylor.
All the suits, all the shoes, all this pretty glitz and glamour. At the end of the day, it don't mean nothing. We got to step in that ring.
You see the size difference. Jacobs is the taller man, but there is just thudding power from Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, just an outstanding performance in a title defense.
Rampage evens the series. Mamma mia! And down goes Rojas. Patricio Pitbull has done it. That's an elbow that's come in there, you know. What a round. And he's wobbled again. He's got down after the bell. Big drama show continues, ladies and gentlemen. Triple G sends a message to Canelo. Here we go, round number 1, heavyweight championship of the world. Ruiz comes to fire back, and Joshua's hurt. Joshua is hurt, he's staggered, and he goes down again. He says that's it. Andy Ruiz is the heavyweight champion. Wow, wow, wow.
DAZN and MLB present Change.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here. Incredible conversation with James Jones there. I think we blew out the speakers twice during that thing. We appreciate you sticking around for that. Got a chance to chat about a lot of things here early in the show. Baker Mayfield being called overrated as hell by Rex Ryan while I was sitting next to him led to a lot of people to talk about who's going to last longer, Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson. That conversation is flooding talking heads right now. Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. Everybody knows that those are the two possibly next ones after Patrick Mahomes as the young generation talent, let alone Daniel Jones, and he's being talked about. He's a rookie. Who knows how that's going to go? One big win in a big market has generated a lot of buzz. The one name that's being left out that we don't like about it, Todd?
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, 20 games into his career right now. Just handed the reins, basically, of his own team Just got broken off, too, for the first time in his entire career. He's friends with Bill Parcells, calls him a mentor. Literal friends with Tom Brady. Nobody ever talks about that. Jacoby Brissett's the next big one, I think. I let it slip that I think he's going to outlast Patrick Mahomes, and that is really captivating the internet right now. maybe let that one slip out, but who knows? Honestly,
never know.
You didn't say he was going to be better than.
No.
You said
outlast.
I mean,
Because,
big difference.
because the way Jacoby is going to play and the way Frank Reich will be pulling the strings and the way Chris Ballard is going to protect him, it's going to be a lot more like Tom Brady, a lot more like Drew Brees, where he's sitting in there finding things, getting the ball out of his hands quickly. Patrick Mahomes, even though Andy Reid is an incredible play designer and he can get the rock out and he has a lot of weapons, I think he's going to take more hits, make more risky situations.
Yeah.
And in 10 years from now, I think we'll all be like, you know what? Nobody's talking about Jacoby Brissett enough. Well, that won't happen in this house. Not in Indianapolis, Indiana. Okay. Two undefeated matchups in the NFL this weekend. We put out a poll on the internet. Which underdog is more likely to win this weekend's undefeated matchups? The Patriots travel to Buffalo in Bills Mafia, and they are currently 7-point favorites over the Buffalo Bills. We're not saying who will cover. We're saying which underdog team is more likely to win. The Chiefs are traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. They're 6.5-point favorites. The power of the people, the poll of the people are saying, 56% of the people are saying that the Bills will upset the Pats in Buffalo is a much more likely situation or scenario than the Lions upsetting the Chiefs in Detroit. I think this is a lot of people voting on the poll with their heart.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of time, those who sit atop a hill have been hated and despised by humans that are trying to make it to the top of the hill. You look at the Lakers. The Lakers were hated back whenever they were good. You look at the Yankees, still probably hated, but even more so back in the day when they were good. The Patriots, it seems redundant, but every year they're dominant. Every year Tom Brady seems as if it's going to be his last year, and then he starts playing. It's like, how did he even get better? McDaniels does the okey-doke on the Indianapolis Colts, makes the Empire even hated even more. Deflategate, Spygate, you name it. When you're at the top of the mountain, people are going to hate you. Bill Belichick is a mastermind. That's what he is. His defense right now has only given up one touchdown, I believe. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and it was the botched punt.
It was, yeah. So his defense has given up no touchdowns.
You're right.
And you go back to the Super Bowl, they held the Los Angeles Rams that were a well-oiled machine to next to nothing. Bill Belichick has created that team to maybe be the best all-around team that they've ever had, and somehow they lost Gronk and made this happen. They cut Antonio Brown, and their team is still getting even better. So the fact that people think that the Bills are going to beat the Pats, I love, because I love Bills Mafia. I absolutely love everything they do. Put another dude through a table. Put another lady through a table. Throw a dildo on the field. Lose your mind. Go crazy. I love everything about Bills Mafia. I love that Josh Allen has a team now that is undefeated. I love that there's hope in Buffalo. I like the Frank Gore, former teammate of mine, who I got a chance to talk to. I asked him how long he's going to play. He said, I just love football, man. Easy as I just love football. Frank Gore loves football, brings a toughness and attitude to a team. They get rid of LaShawn McCoy, substitute in Frank Gore and a couple other folks, and the Buffalo Bills are now undefeated. That coach who got rid of Tyrod Taylor, got rid of a lot of people. Everybody was mocking because they were garbage yet again, is now looking like something that the Bills Mafia can have hope for. With that being said, I don't see how Josh McDaniels, Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick lose a game for a while. They look unbelievable. People are saying Julian Edelman's banged up. They're saying Josh Gordon's banged up. But in a divisional game, if there's any chance of it being close, those guys will play until the end of the game. They got Tom Brady laying blocks in the fourth quarter. These are all games that matter for Belichick, I think, because they view this as preseason. I think they're viewing this as practice. I think it gets to a point during the game where Bill Belichick calls the boys over and they're like, listen, now it's just practice. Most teams would sit you guys to rest you guys. Bill Belichick's like, complete opposite. We're going to keep you guys in there. Let's work on some stuff. Tom, if you want to go lay some blocks for Philip Dorsett, go ahead and do that. To get out, and whatever we need to get out, let's figure it out. I don't think the Patriots lose. I think it's a much less likely situation that the Bills beat the Patriots, even though I like the Bills Mafia hope. I think it is much more likely that Matt Patricia and the Lions upset the Kansas City Chiefs, who I love. I would like it to be known. I absolutely love the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think they lose, but I think it's a much more likely situation that they do, strictly because of Matt Patricia's post-game speech after the win last week.
We just keep going, baby. We just keep going. Man,
so freaking right there. We don't stop. I love it. Love every single one of you. We emptied that tank again today. That was a lot. It's a good thing we put a lot in. We put a lot in. We needed all of it today. We needed all of it. Nice job, Mel. Way to finish that game. Yeah, man. Get that thing rolling. Welcome to the NFL, man. This is what it feels like. We beat anybody, any day, anytime. I don't care where they want to play. Parking lots, in backyards, their home stadium, ours. It don't matter. We just keep going. We just keep going.
Just a year ago, they were talking about how Matt Patricia had lost the locker room. They were talking about how Matt Patricia, just like most Belichick disciples, is going to be a terrible head coach. Matt Patricia is not going to be able to institute the Patriot way in Detroit. The locker room's going to hate it. Nobody's going to have any respect for him. What did he start doing? He started getting rid of people he didn't like. He started bringing in his type of guys. Brings in Danny Amendola, who is not only handsome, not only dates Miss Americas, but also brings an attitude to a workforce and a workload in Detroit that I think is going to make them good. I think the Detroit Lions, for the first time in a long time, Foxy, I think this is a team that you guys can actually be proud of. And I think at home, with a real team for the first time, with Matt Patricia's big brain on the defensive side of the ball, I think they have a chance. I mean, it's a small one, but I think they are much more likely to upset the Chiefs than the Bills are to upset the Pats, personally.
McAfee bump is real. Hammer the Lions this weekend. Let's go.
I mean, 6.5 points is a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
At home.
At home. Most games, and this is, now granted, this year I guess hasn't been shaping out for that, but if you look at like the last 10 years of the NFL, like 85% of games are a one-score game. So whenever you're getting 6.5, 7, that's a lot of points. I think the Lions will handle this situation better than the Bills will, even though I do like the Patriots and Chiefs over everybody.
The Lions are the clear answer here. The Bills, yes, are 3-0, but they beat the Bengals by 4, the Giants by 4, and the Jets by 1. Those are not great wins.
So what you're saying is
the Lions beat the Eagles. They held the Chargers to what, like 11, 13 points?
Yep.
They actually have beat some teams that are supposed to be good, have actual weapons on them. So them facing the Chiefs, much better chance to beat the Chiefs than the Bills do the Patriots.
I agree. And the fact that Matt Patricia has that team believing. You heard that? Mm-hmm. That's a Jim Caldwell line, by the way. Jim Caldwell said, I'm not saying that Matt Patricia took that from Jim Caldwell because I don't think they've ever coached together, but Jim Caldwell used to say, hey, we'll play anybody anywhere. Wouldn't smile, wouldn't be mad, wouldn't laugh, wouldn't cry, just very even keel all the time, but we're not scared to play anybody anywhere. Matt Patricia saying, we'll play him in a parking lot, we'll play him in their backyard, our backyard. That team's believing in it, I think. That team's having fun, and that celebration in that locker room was nothing like what it was last year when everybody thought that Matt Patricia lost the team. Let's get to a call real quick before we end this hour. Mr. Never Lose a Penny.
Let's go.
Mr. Never Lose a Penny or Earn a Penny. What's going on, boss man? Oh, that's unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable. That's Foxy's friend.
Can't have that happen.
Can't have that happen. Can't have that happen. He's probably going to go on some big rant about the Lions because I think all of Detroit is excited that the Lions are finally good again. The NFL has to be pumped, though, that these 2 undefeated matchups are happening this weekend because on Monday Night Football, they got the big donut bowl. They got an 0-3 team taking on an 0-3 team, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati Bengals in a donut bowl. Who walks out of there with 0 wins and 4 attempts, and who sneaks by another god-awful team to get their first win of the season? Diggs?
The Bungles will for sure lose. Last time the Steelers started 0-3, 2013, they finished 8-8.
Oh, that's not bad. It's not bad. Hey, 8-8 teams will beat the Bengals.
They're still trying. They're still trading for players.
Still trading for players because I think Mike Tomlin might feel a little bit of heat. Maybe Colbert even feels a little bit of heat.
If there's any whiff of the Steelers ever tanking, they'll burn the city down.
Yeah. Yinzer's. You're telling me I wake up in the morning and go in that steel mill every single day. My life sucks. What, you guys stink one time and you just quit on the job? Get them all out of there. That's Antonio Brown, get out of town. Le'Veon Bell, get out of town. Don't want to be here, leave. We'll ride with Big Ben Roethlisberger. Excuse me, Mr. Yinzer. Big Ben Roethlisberger got Tommy John, a baseball injury, and he'll be out for the rest of the season. Don't matter. Mason Rudolph will come in there and do well. Mason Rudolph completed 2 passes past the line of scrimmage. Maybe we're in trouble, but they better not quit out there. That's the coordinators are the first to go. That's probably an accurate statement. But I think with all this trading happening, it seems like they're potentially on a ship that's sinking, and they're deciding to play the music all the way down like the Titanic, which I respect and appreciate. But if it's Colbert and Tomlin feeling heat, this is what they would do, right? 0-3 team, trading all your picks, getting things like, hey, don't need it. Who cares? Let's just try to win right now so we don't get fired, and then see what happens. But the Steelers have been a very stable organization. I mean, since the beginning of time, there's only a couple head coaches. You got Cowher, Tomlin, and what's-his-face before Cowher?
Chucky Noll.
So to make a change in Pittsburgh would be a wild move. It'd be a new move. But that Steelers team can't quit, or there'll be Yinzers riding outside of UPMC, their practice facility, for sure. We'll be back on the other side. Mr. Never Lose a Penny really blew that one for a lot of the callers. Who knows? 10:55, September 25th. Beautiful Wednesday. We'll be back on the other side. You're listening to The Pat McAfee Show. The man sitting next to me on the camera there is Ryan Brumley. We call him Big Play Brumley. He is the direct correspondent from DAZN to us. DAZN is international company, so Brumley has to answer all the calls from London, New York, LA, and potentially Canada if we mess something up for DAZN. He's a new member of the team. Good guy. Interesting guy for sure. Good guy. DAZN, though, incredible company. They got all the baseball rights to MLB. So just like in Canada, they have all the NFL rights. In Germany, they have all the NFL rights. In Japan, they have all the soccer and baseball rights. In the United States, they're working on getting the NFL rights. We got a big bank, too, going into that conversation. I'm excited for that in the next couple of years. But they have the MLB rights. And each night, is it every night?
I believe so, yes.
Every night, there's an incredible baseball show here on the DAZN app called Change Up.
DAZN and MLB present Change Up, the live whip-around show that changes how you watch the ballgame.
Every night, this is going to be the place to be.
Jump in and out of the best plays as they happen with our team of incredible hosts.
What?
And big-name guests.
Hunter Pence, you've done work. That's right. Rags Electric Factory. Wait, it's time for Bat Flip Boss. We're whipping him around, baby. Whip it, whip it.
Live every night, only on DAZN.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here, September 25th, 2019. Music with an abrupt stop, as it should be, because we got nothing but magic to talk to you about. Normally, we would play the Chase Rice Open there. That's why you stopped the music. Chase Rice got a lot of love earlier in the show, and he's going on tour. Go check him out. I'm being joined by a great group of men here in Indianapolis before we race to the airport to fly to Memphis for Navy Memphis tomorrow night. Todd McComas, Diggs, Nick, Foxy, Zito, Ty, and Gumpy are in the building, and we've been talking about a lot of things that the world would like to hear about. What Kyle Long probably did not want the world to hear about is a situation that happened in the Chicago Bears locker room. Tyreek Cohen was utilizing the IG Live, which is an incredible addition to the Instagram world, incredible addition to social media, but when it's in a locker room, could potentially become a bit exploitive. Is that a word?
Exploitative, yep.
Mm-hmm. The eight of there.
Mm-hmm. Close enough.
People got it.
The eight of.
The eight of. When I say this, I mean this. Tyreek Cohen feels like a terrible human being right now. And I'm saying that because I was once in this exact same position. Now, granted, I showed no willy. I showed no dong. I showed no schlong. Tyreek Cohen's IG Live got all of Kyle Long's schlong. Mine did not. I showed a lot of thigh, a lot of upper body, but when I got the phone call, where my dad got the phone call from my aunt informing me that I was trending on CNN for being an idiot punter who posted a photo of Andrew Luck damn near naked in the locker room. When I was trying to take a photo of Adam Vinatieri, I was sick to my stomach. I almost vomited and thought I was going to get cut. I assume Tyreek Cohen feels the same exact way. These IG Lives have gotten some people in some trouble. Antonio Brown just a couple years ago, before all this, Antonio Brown, nobody ever talks about that potentially being the moment that changed Antonio Brown. Everybody talks about Vontaze Burfict's hit potentially being the change. What if Antonio Brown was so embarrassed and ridiculed because his IG Live was live whenever Mike Tomlin said, now we got to go play the ass clowns up north, or whatever he said about the Patriots, which obviously led to some
chalkboard.
There it is. Nope.
Bulletin.
There it is. Bulletin board material and all that stuff. Maybe that was the moment to change him because everybody called him an idiot that day, and that's whenever he got hardened and started hating everybody. I don't know. I'm literally just sending that off from the hip. Tyreek Cohen has to feel terrible, but Kyle Long, I think Kyle Long should be proud of himself, by the way.
I think so, too.
Oh, yeah.
Look good to me.
For sure.
I mean, granted, exactly.
I mean, I'm not seeing it compared to a dollar bill, but looks pretty impressive.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, well, your dollar bill's 6 inches, so it's a good standard of comparison.
That's a terrible situation for Tyreek Cohen, though. He's going to get fined, I assume.
Yeah.
I got like a nice $25,000 fine, I think it was, whenever I did mine. I was just happy not to be cut. I assume Tyreek Cohen's going to feel the same exact way, even though he's much more important to his team than I was to mine. And, I mean, I just showed Andrew Luck's wad thigh. Zito, how do you feel about this as a Bears fan?
Kind of heartbroken that Tyreek would do that, but, Kyle Long looked good.
Tyreek Cohen would do that. Like, it's not – Tyreek Cohen did not do that on
I blame Instagram, you're right.
Zito was blaming Kyle Long.
What?
No, I just, in my head, if I see someone yelling at a phone, I would right away be like, oh, he's on something.
Yeah, but Tyreek, he's probably in his own conversation over there. You got to remember, after a big win, there's a lot of little conversations happening. Kyle Long's probably talking to other offensive linemen. This is 100% on Tyreek Cohen. This is 100% on him, just like it was 100% on me for not double checking for the Bigfoot in the background, blurry in the back of the photo. This is not something that he obviously meant to do, but man, as technology continues to evolve, this is something that can happen. It's not only just me and Tyreek Cohen, by the way. This happens on a very regular basis and nowadays with technology and the locker room the way it is. And also news does this as well. There's been plenty of news stations who've been doing interviews in locker rooms that have showed some dongs in the background. I mean, these are things that happen. The locker room is a sacred place. You have to take care of that. But, boy, Tyreek Cohen has to feel like a terrible human for showing Kyle Long's schlong.
In your opinion, do those guys even care that much? Like, is it a case by case basis, or like, I mean, like Kyle Long, he's not going into the locker room today and like holding beef against.
I have no idea.
Depends on the guy.
Holding beef. He's walking in there holding sauce. Is this what you wanted, Tari?
Do you think your fine would have been more if you would have shown dong?
Yeah, I would have been cut, I think. If I would have shown dog, I think I get cut immediately for that photo. I mean, it definitely affected Andrew Luck and I's friendship forever. I mean, not that we would have had one because we're polar opposite humans, but he definitely was not a fan of anything that I did after that because, like, he's just worried about football, and here I am trying to post an incredible photo of Adam Vinatieri, and he's in the background. So, I mean, it brings a lot of negative attention that you don't need right now, especially when the Bears get their first big win and perform well on offense. Bear Don, Pants Don. IG Live probably down in the locker room, if I had to guess. A lot of chitter-chatter this morning. Not about that. I mean, I guess it has been talked about because it is definitely a thing that is going to buzz around the internet. But a lot of chatter this morning about these young quarterbacks and who's being overrated, who's underrated, and everything like that. I was sitting next to Rex Ryan, former head coach of the New York Jets, and Buffalo Bills, D coordinator everywhere, basically. Football mind comes from Buddy Ryan's seed, right? Am I accurate in that?
Yes.
Comes from a football family. Whenever Rex Ryan says something, the football world listens because this guy knows football. There's a lot of people taking shots at him in the comments and in Twitter and everything like that. They're basically saying, Rex Ryan, what do you know? You got a Mark Sanchez tattoo on you. Valid.
It's awesome that he did that.
Very valid. Very awesome that he supported his quarterback like that. But whenever he was on Get Up, while I was on Get Up, he said that Baker Mayfield was overrated as hell, which led to a lot of conversations. Baker Mayfield, is he overrated? Is he underrated? Is he perfectly rated? I have no idea. I think he's young. I think he's 17 games into this professional football thing. I think he doesn't understand defenses yet, which will come with age. I think obviously film study could help that. I don't know if he's doing that. He looks up to Brett Favre. Brett Favre says, I know Brett Favre didn't watch any film. The guy didn't know what a nickel defense was until like his 7th year in the NFL. So Brett Favre and Baker Mayfield are both gun it, sling it. Athletes, let's go ahead and just make a play, use our competitive edge over other teams. Will he be able to learn defenses and stop checking into dumb plays like a 4th and 9 draw, which I don't know if that was Freddie Kitchen or Baker, either or, hasn't been called since 2007, didn't work then either. Not a good play, especially in the fourth quarter if you need it. So is Baker Mayfield overrated or underrated? I think it's too early to tell if somebody's overrated or underrated. Now, granted, he's all over the television. He was on Stone Cold Steve Austin show on USA Network. He has like 4 different commercials that are on national TV. All offseason, the dog pound was topic of conversation because the dog pound potentially had a team that would allow the rest of the city to drink Bud Light and not be completely defeated like they were locked out of beer last year. I like Baker Mayfield. He's been able to do something in Cleveland that nobody else has been able to do. You remember that jersey of Cleveland quarterbacks. It is about 50, 60 deep. Any quarterback that has ever played football is basically on the back of the Cleveland Browns quarterback jersey, and nobody's been able to bring the excitement, the big-time free agents, and a renewed energy to the dog pound like Baker Mayfield. That in of itself is a talent that is not being talked about enough. That is a real talent to be able to bring a city back around and back on an optimistic viewpoint of the team. Not that the dog pound ever left them, but the dog pound was showing up at games out of spite for about 20 straight years. Now there's real energy there. Baker will get better. I don't know if he's overrated. I don't think he's overrated. But yeah, there it is. We're just showing the video. You're talking about Couch, Detmer, Wynn, Peterson. Doug Peterson's on the list. Doug, the head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, is on the list of quarterbacks that couldn't turn around the Cleveland Browns. But here's Baker Mayfield with an opportunity to do it. So I was taken back whenever Rex said that. That led to a conversation about Lamar Jackson, who passed the ball 43 times in this last game and didn't do great. That led to conversations all over the place by these talking heads. Are Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield both overrated, and who will have the longer career? Who will have the more successful career? Who will be doing all these things? I said, I think they're both going to be good. Lamar Jackson, the way he plays football, if he gets banged up, that hinders him a lot. His ability to run is one that is a gift. It is a special attribute that not a lot of quarterbacks have. His ability to elude tackles, his ability to make things happen out of nowhere is a special talent. But when you play that way, there is obviously a big opportunity to get hurt, big opportunity to end your career, big opportunity to not perform as well if you can't do all the things that make you special. They had him pass the ball 43 times this last week, Greg Roman. I think they were trying to keep the ball in his hands to throw as opposed to in his hands to run, because they know that if Lamar gets hurt, they're in big, big trouble, especially with the way they've completely remodeled their offense for Lamar Jackson. So everybody's chatting. Who? Lamar, Baker. Lamar, Baker. Finkel, Einhorn. Finkel, Einhorn. Who's going to last the longest? I think they're both going to have good careers if they're set up in good positions. If the Cleveland Browns can get a good offensive line for Baker and he can treat it more like Drew Brees does down in New Orleans, and Freddie Kitchen Kitchens gives him an offense that's unlike a Bruce Arians offense where he has to sit back, 7-step, and just hold and not die. And they get him a little quick ball, little quick options, maybe get Chubb the ball out of the backfield a little bit. Guy's a great runner. Get the ball out quicker. Jarvis Landry, who's a tough wide receiver. Maybe let Odell get the ball earlier and let him make a play later. If they start doing things like that protect Baker, I think Baker will be able to have a long, successful, fun, exciting career for the dog pound. If Lamar Jackson can avoid injury, I think Lamar Jackson will have a long, successful, fun career for the Baltimore Ravens. But I think both of those things seem unlikely at this point. I think both of those things aren't the highest percentage of what's going to happen. I think we all know what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. I think we're going to enjoy the hell out of the way he plays football. I think we're going to enjoy the way the Ravens have turned around the game. I think we're going to enjoy that, but at some point, ultimately, some big boy who's 300 pounds that runs a 4.7 is going to hit him in the wrong angle, and whammy, it's going to be a thigh bruise. It's going to be something. It's going to be just a little ding, and then all of a sudden that changes Lamar Jackson. Now they have to rely on him being a perfect passer like he was in the first week. Will he be able to do it? I hope. I hope he does. I'm not sure. But the young quarterback that has not been talked about in this conversation that we will not stand for any longer is Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett, his mentor is Bill Parcells. Jacoby Brissett learned from Tom Brady for years. He's good friends with Tom Brady. Jacoby Brissett has never been in a situation where the entire organization said, hey, you are our guy. The first time he came to the Indianapolis Colts, it was 7 days before the season. He was thrown into a starting role, had a terrible football team around him, only won 4 games. Everybody's like, yeah, he's good, but I mean, is he premier? Who knows? He wasn't given a fair shake then. And this year, I can argue he wasn't given a fair shake this time as well. 8 days before the season starts, a once-in-a-generation quarterback who has one of the best neck beards of all time, who I potentially tweeted a photo of his thighs and chest out there, decides to retire because he's no longer enjoying football because of how bad he got beat up earlier in his career, a la Bruce Arians' offense, a la what could potentially happen to Baker Mayfield. Now, all of a sudden, Jacoby is handed the keys. He's handed $20 million. He's handed the keys to the team. Hey, even though the entire offseason, this entire offense was shaped for Andrew Luck, even though this team was Andrew Luck's team and you were just kind of a placeholder the last time you were playing, even though all these things, it is now your team. He's being empowered, and Jacoby Brissett has showed up. 646 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. Ranked 6th in passer rating right now with a 110, I believe. 110 passer rating through 3 weeks. Does he have a lot to grow? Yeah. Does Frank Reich have to help him out a little bit more, even more? Yeah. Will he continue to rely on a good running back like Marlon Mack and others that are in the backfield? Yes. But what is to stop Jacoby Brissett from going on to have a 10-year incredible career here with the Indianapolis Colts? And when I say this, I mean this. Nothing. Their offensive line is incredible. Quentin Nelson, Earl Gray, Mr. Teabag himself is an elite offensive lineman, one of the greatest of all time. I'll say he's going to be a Hall of Famer because he is. Anthony Costanzo is a veteran holding down the left tackle. You got an offensive line that's ready to protect this guy. You got a coach that is a former quarterback who's going to take care of his quarterback. You got a lot of things setting up and the pieces falling into place for Jacoby Brissett to have a great long career, and he never gets talked about. And I'm done with it. First hour, I said I thought he was going to last longer than Patrick Mahomes. I'll stick with it. I'm sticking with it. Let's get to a break. And on the other side, we have Zach Kiefer, who used to be of the Indy Star until newspapers died. Shout out to the Des Moines Register. We'll talk about that later in a brand new segment called People Are Saying. I can't wait to get to that. Now he writes for The Athletic. He's been with the Colts literally behind the scenes for the last couple years. I can't wait to chat with him about why he agrees with me that Jacoby Brissett is going to be incredible for the long haul. And if he disagrees with me, fornicate him. We'll be back. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Yeah. seen a couple other people.
The dream continues. He's out. He's out.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Anthony Joshua.
Oh, yes, right hand by Joshua. Comes back with a hook. Perfected now on his heels. He's hurt. Joshua trying everything, a big right hand. And this is over.
A landmark 11-fight, $365 million deal, making Canelo the highest-paid athlete on the planet.
Callum Smith has claimed the inaugural Muhammad Ali trophy. That is what is on the line. Here we go. Ryan Garcia.
Can Rocky survive? And there's not much he can do. That was a headshot down the body, and that's the
Here today to discuss a new partnership between Gennady Golovkin and DAZN. Golovkin's going to spend the rest of his career fighting here on DAZN.
That's right, to new beginnings. Welcome to Change Up alongside Scott Rogowski, Ahmad Namburg. Every night, this is going to be the place to be.
I always wanted to know, like, as a boxer, how is it when you step into the ring, your name and career and everything you work for is on the line?
The fighting pride of all Ireland, KT Taylor.
All the suits, all the shoes, all this pretty glitz and glamour. At the end of the day, it don't mean nothing. We got to step in that ring.
You see the size difference. Jacobs is the taller man, but there is just thudding power from Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, just an outstanding performance in the title defense.
Rampage evens the series. Mamma mia! And down goes Rojas. Patricio Benbo has done it.
That's an elbow that's come in there, you know. What a round. And he's wobbled again. He's got down after the bell.
Big drama show continues, ladies and gentlemen.
Triple G sends a message to Canelo. Here we go, round number 1, heavyweight championship of the world. Ruiz comes to fire back, and Joshua's hurt. Joshua is hurt, he's staggered, and he goes down again. He says that's it. Andy Ruiz is the heavyweight champion. Wow, wow, wow.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. It is 11:19 here on this beautiful Wednesday, September 25th. I just went off a rant there talking about how Jacoby Brissett gets zero respect, and I think it's because the Indianapolis market doesn't get enough respect. Whenever Peyton was quarterback, obviously everybody loved Peyton. He's the greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all time, going to be in the Hall of Fame. The Manning family falls into an elite category whenever you're talking about NFL football. Winningest decade in NFL history happened then, everything. Then whenever Andrew Luck became quarterback, we had success, but nobody really covered it. Nobody really cared. ESPN stopped sending reporters to Indianapolis, actually. Stopped happening for Andrew Luck. And I think that is carried over into the Jacoby Brissett era. When everybody's talking about top young quarterbacks, Jacoby's name is still not being mentioned, and I will not stand for it. A man who's been covering the Colts for the last few years. Now he's with The Athletic, an incredible writer of words. Zach Kiefer joins us. Zach, what's going on, boss?
I'm good, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm a little bit upset. I'm gonna be when I say this, I mean this. All these talking heads are talking about how is Lamar or Baker going to be better? Is Lamar or Baker going to be better? I think they're both going to do fine if they're put in the right situations. Speaking of right situations, Jacoby is in one right now. He has a great offensive line. He has a great head coach that's won a Super Bowl. He's a good play designer, good play caller, and nobody's talking about him being the next great thing. Why is that, Zach? If you had to guess, since you've been in and around the Colts facility for the past few years.
It's because they're not watching this team play. Because if they were, they might be on the same page with you. This guy's killing it right now, and I'm not exaggerating. I mean, this guy is absolutely killing it. Think about the situation he walked into, right? 15 days before the season, the franchise quarterback up and retires, and all of a sudden you're just handed the keys to the franchise. A lot of guys would piss down their leg, and Jacoby has done the exact opposite. This dude, he's got this moxie, man, that you just can't fake and you can't fabricate, and teammates have bought in. And, oh, by the way, he's got maybe the best play designer in the league calling plays for him, and that has helped. But, man, Jacoby Brissett has been balling so far this season.
Has it been like that even during – because a lot of people talked about how he had 1,500 reps with the ones because Andrew Luck wasn't practicing. Even though he was taking all these reps with the ones, it was still Andrew Luck's team at that time. Was he still – like even during the offseason, whenever he was performing in preseason, was he a stud all through there, or was there some questions going in like, is this the guy, or did everybody in there know like, okay, we got two guys in Andrew and Jacoby?
Yeah, they never blinked. So you know how this is, Pat, right? Like in a locker room, the backup quarterback like almost doesn't really exist sometimes, right? He just kind of like exists in no man's land. No one ever talks to him. It was never that way with Jacoby. Go back to last year. Right, they're 1-5, and they start 1-5, and everything's falling apart. They call this player-only meeting, and who calls the meeting? Jacoby Brissett does, and everybody shows up, and everybody pays attention, and that kind of speaks to how much respect this guy had. He was never really viewed as a backup. He earned a lot of guys' respect in 17 when he played behind a really, really crappy offensive line, and really he showed, what he was about. And so this guy walked in with a lot of respect, and as you know, you can't fake that. Either they believe in you or they don't. They believed in him from the minute Luck retired. I mean, the night it all happened, right? Everyone's stunned, and some guys are mad, and some guys are ticked off. Anthony Walker, one of the leaders of the defense, calls Jacoby and says, look, we're behind you. I believe in you. Let's go do this. And Jacoby says, thank you for believing in me. And from there, they have not blinked. A lot of this speaks to what Chris Ballard has built and what Frank Reich has done. But Jacoby's the real deal, man.
That game against the Falcons there, the Falcons answered a couple times. They almost made it a game. And then all the Colts did was just show up and show out. And I watched Quentin Nelson mic'd up from the Colts social media. He seems like a real leader of that team, talking to people like, hey, let's go, let's go, let's go. I think that offensive line is why Jacoby is going to have sustained success in the NFL. No good quarterback has a terrible offensive line in front of them. Now, granted, a quarterback can make an offensive line better by getting the ball out quicker, making the right checks, making the right reads and things like that. But Jacoby has this offensive line that's an absolute weapon. In your days, not only as a Colts fan from growing up in the area, going to Butler University, but also covering the Colts. This is
Indiana University.
Oh, I thought you went to Butler.
I covered Butler. But, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you lived it. I covered Andrew Luck's early days. It was brutal. Wouldn't you want to play behind this offensive line?
I would.
And, to speak about Quentin Nelson, do you know his story? I mean, this dude was too big to play Pee Wee football. I mean, he was, like, literally too big to play Pee Wee, and now you kind of see him treating NFL defensive backs like they're Pee Wee players.
He's kind of like Wreck-It Ralph. Quentin Nelson reminds me of a Wreck-It Ralph type character, which, by the way...
Did you hear what the Falcons player said about that play on Sunday?
No.
They basically said, like, was that a business decision? And he's like, yeah.
Kiefer, how do you think the Colts feel right now going into another incredible week here? I got a chance to talk to Vinatieri, which will be on my podcast tomorrow, talking about how basically your coworker, Stephen Holder, kind of left him out to dry there. He never thought once about retirement. He just wanted to get back to work. How do the Colts feel, though? What is the buzz around the facility?
The buzz is unbelievably positive right now. And I think, and tell me if you disagree, if they get the job done Sunday against the Raiders, which I believe they will, they're going to be 3-1, which is the best start this team has had in a decade. I think Frank Reich needs to be in the Coach of the Year conversation.
Well, we're only in week 3. I appreciate you there. Zach, thank you so much for the time. I know you got to cover practice. You're the best.
Have a great one, Pat.
Yeah, you got it. Follow along at The Athletic. He writes words there. The Athletic, they just kind of pluck all the good writers, right? That's what they've been doing?
Yeah,
pretty much,
like
yeah.
Because newspapers dying.
Newspapers are dead. Mostly because of what happened in Des Moines. That's why newspapers are dead. But also, what happened in Des Moines was an obviously desperate cry at keeping newspapers not dead. We'll talk about that in a new segment called People Are Saying. That'll be after our next break. But the Colts are not getting talked about enough. We're homers. I got paid a lot of money by Jim Irsay in the Indianapolis Colts. I have a lot of friends that are in the building, in the facility. But, man, I think the Colts aren't getting talked about enough in Jacoby Brissett.
Do you want to play a game?
Absolutely, love games.
So while you were,
I would like to play a game.
While you were doing, your diatribe earlier,
yeah,
I went and I looked up and just to see where other people thought Jacoby was. 4 days ago, USA Today did an article. They ranked top 20 quarterbacks under 26.
Okay,
he was ranked number 8. Would you like to hear who was above him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 1 was Patrick Mahomes.
Respect. I completely understand that. That sounds like
2 was Carson Wentz.
Okay, see, now there is a situation where I'm like, okay, yeah, Carson Wentz 2 drops away, by the way. Tomorrow night, Philadelphia Eagles are flying into Lambeau to take on the Packers. That Packers defense has become something special. It's the first time the Packers have had a top 10 defense since 2010 when they won the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur are still feeling each other out. But the Philadelphia Eagles, although they're 2 drops away from being undefeated, are also potentially 1 ball away from being 0-3. That Eagles team, James Jones said it, you have no idea what you're getting with them. And with Carson Wentz, I can argue that you never know what you're going to get with Carson Wentz. Sometimes he's Superman. Sometimes he's super dud. You have no idea what's going on with him. I like what he did, but without Nick Foles, are we even talking about Carson Wentz at all? Is Carson Wentz just another guy that's just like, kind of come see, come saw? Peterson had to pull the trigger and kept Carson Wentz over Big Richard Nick Foles. Big Richard Nick Foles, like Nick, broke his clavicle early, so we'll never really get a chance to see if Nick Foles would be a stud with the Jags this year or not. We kind of just got to roll with Carson Wentz. But I like I said, I feel like I would trust Jacoby Brissett more than Carson Wentz. I feel like if I'm starting a franchise, I am rolling with Jacoby Brissett over Carson Wentz. The first guy there, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, that's going to be a tough thing to say. Yeah. But Carson Wentz definitely. I can't wait to hear who else they
3,
have.
Jared Goff.
Yeah, there we go. You put Jacoby Brissett in that offense over there with McVay, I'd assume he'd throw for 4,000 yards a day. I liked the way by the way, Jacoby Brissett, he has that it factor too that quarterbacks have to have. Now, granted, people say Goff does have it and Goff is this. I look at Goff and I don't look at a guy that I would run through a wall for. I look at a guy who's pretty talented. He does great on McVay's offense. But I think Jacoby Brissett has that it factor and the talent level more than Jared Goff.
For Dak Prescott.
Okay, now Dak is playing for $100 million right now. I mean, Dak is playing on another level. Jerry Jones said he's delaying the contract conversation with Dak Prescott, and everybody who's seen Pawn Stars, anybody who's been a part of a negotiation at all, even if that's at McDonald's trying to get a McChicken from the dollar menu for 50 cents, you know you never negotiate with a guy when he's on a heater. You never, ever walk away from a heater. Jerry Jones is going to wait until Dak Prescott gets cold to renegotiate this contract. He's going to say, hey, listen. You want to talk about this now, or are you going to let this landslide keep going? You were at the top of the world just a couple weeks ago. Now you're sucking. You want to take this $90 million, or you still want to hold out for $130 million? That's what Jerry Jones is going to do. Great businessman. Dak Prescott will continue to crush it. But once again, I would take Jacoby Brissett over Dak Prescott.
5, Deshaun Watson.
Oh, now Deshaun Watson might potentially have an Andrew Luck situation right now. He got his ass kicked his first couple of years. He's still getting his ass kicked right now, even though they brought in Laramie Tunsil, which I love the move. Everybody saw me on draft night when Laramie Tunsil's stepdad or whatever released that video of him hitting a gas mask with a bong attached to it. By the way, for those that don't know, standard gas mask procedure, you have a steamroller attached to it with an open-ended bottom. The bong has a closed-in bottom, and he hit that gas mask and didn't cough one time. I actually texted Chuck Pagano. I said, listen, Chuck, I understand that everybody else is knocking this guy for this gas mask thing, but I think we should be moving him up our draft grade because I've seen gas masks like that take down plenty of men. And Laramie Tunsil did not cough one time. Not a one time. That man is in great shape. He's got massive lungs. And what they're saying he did in the Miami Dolphins, which is kind of a wasteland for players, he showed up and showed out. He goes to the Texans. He automatically boosts the morale of that offensive line. But Deshaun Watson is still getting killed because there's a lot of other revolving doors on that offensive line. If Deshaun Watson can stay healthy, I think he can make big plays. Against the Chargers, he looked damn good. Dabo Swinney called him the Michael Jordan of football. I like Deshaun Watson, but I'm not sure we'll ever get to see him be great because of the ass beating that he receives on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and then the next two, I know your thoughts here, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is above Jacoby Brissett? They're 2-0. And Josh Allen isn't an incredibly competitive player. Josh Allen has the long ball. I think Jacoby can spin it too. Now, granted, I don't know if Jacoby can throw it 80 like what Josh Allen is saying, but do you need an 80-yard ball? I mean, if you have to rely on a Hail Mary from your own 21-yard line, you're probably in a lot worse spot than what your quarterback
Somebody
can throw.
better be way open.
Yeah, but I agree that Josh Allen has shown glimpses of greatness here. That big-time jump over the Minnesota Vikings and everything like that. But I'm not sure. Now, granted, this year could be different. And I think there's a lot of learning to be had. These are all players
find out this week.
Underneath the age of 26, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of growth that happens, too. There's a lot of maturity that happens. There's a lot of learning of NFL defenses that happens that can only happen during live rounds, that can only happen from games. Some people pick it up quicker. Some people it takes a little bit. You got to have a little bit of patience. I think Josh Allen maybe is picking it up. I'm not sure, but I know Jacoby is going to pick it up just as fast. Mm-hmm. Jacoby and TB12 and Bill Parcells are a good brain trust, I would assume. Plus, you had in Frank Reich, big brain, and Chris Ballard protecting him. I'd take Jacoby Brissett over every single one of them quarterbacks except for Patrick Mahomes, and that's strictly because Patrick Mahomes likes ketchup. I like Jacoby, man. I like him. Even whenever he was playing on that 4-12 team, I was like, hey, there's something about this quarterback.
Yeah.
There's something about this quarterback. He's not getting talked about enough. Let's get to a break here. It is 11:31 on Wednesday, September 25th. This show is flying by.
Mm-hmm.
We'll chat about people. Actually, you know what? On the other side, brand new set. What is this?
Got that energy. It is electronic K-pop mayhem with epic bass, female vocals, and nasty synths.
Everybody knows I love K-pop. I will never say a single thing bad about K-pop because they have a legion of fans that's stronger than the Paul brothers somehow. Oh. And the Paul brothers are amazing. Dave Portnoy told me, he said, I've learned a couple things, Pat. You never go against Howard Stern, and you never go against any of these YouTubers, Pat. They got a cult of fans. And I was like, Portnoy, what I think I've learned is never go against you either. And that's what it feels like. But K-pop, we're big fans.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Big fans. I mean, I sit at home and listen to that BTS all day, every day. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're so good. Clip that, put that on the internet. Let's pick up some of their fans. Subscribe to DAZN, blah, blah, blah. You get it. All right. On the other side, people are saying the new best segment in radio. You're listening to The Pat McAfee Show.
DAZN and MLB present Change Up, the live rip-around show that changes how you watch the ballgame.
Every night, this is going to be the place to be.
Jump in and out of the best plays as they happen with our team of incredible hosts.
Telling me.
And big-name guests.
Hunter Pence, you've done work. That's right. Rags Electric Factory. Wait, it's time for Bat Flip Boss. We're whipping him around, baby. Whip it, whip it.
Live every night. Only on DAZN.
Hey, Foxy, let me know when we're doing a commercial. I'll throw to it, as opposed to just like dropping it in there. What's that?
So you got it.
You look defeated back there. Foxy looks a little defeated today, doesn't he?
No. Actually, I'm undefeated, Pat.
Oh. Is that right?
2-0-1.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't hit the Chase Rice at the top of the hour.
Well, there's a reason for that, but
what is it?
I mean, there was a big scramble for some commercials for DAZN from the DAZN side back here.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm not pointing fingers. That's not what I'm doing.
It sounded like a lot of fingers being pointed there. When you point fingers, there's 3 pointing back. Folks.
Exactly.
Brumley's getting thrown under the bus.
Boom. Take it down.
Big play, Brumley getting buried.
Buried. Is there shovels here? Do I step in the hole here to get?
What's that? We got, he's soon, huh?
11:40.
So we'll do this and him.
Yep.
Norville.
See the status at you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here on DAZN Worldwide. And Westwood One on the radio stations across the country. I think we're up to like 42 or 45 stations. We're very thankful that you're choosing to listen to us. If you're driving through an area that has us on the air and you end up in a place that isn't, go ahead and call that radio station and tell them go straight to hell until they put our show on. I've heard that is a real thing that we can do. They say guerrilla marketing is a way to really get us on more channels. And after this segment, I'm not sure how they won't want us on every single channel across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, our brand new segment, People Are Saying.
People are saying.
Yes, they are. Ty Schmidt, what are they saying?
Pat, people are saying Troy Aikman is the most savage human on the internet. After the Athletic Kansas City tweeted, Patrick Mahomes has thrown 36% of Aikman's career touchdowns in about 8% of his games. Aikman responded by saying, talk to me when he has 33% of my Super Bowls.
Oh! Get him. I love Troy Aikman, man. Everything about Troy Aikman has really, in my eyes, been turned around. Okay? You hear all the negativity about basically every broadcaster that broadcasts any game. People are going to find a reason to hate you. Troy Aikman has been on national TV primetime for a long time. And the only thing that ever gets brought up is like, well, Troy only threw the ball 18 times a game. Troy did this, Troy did this. If you really listen to Troy Aikman call a game, I think he wishes the best for a lot of people. I think he provides incredible insight. He's also very handsome. And the fact that he's diving into the social media world, I absolutely love. There's a lot of coaches and a lot of people that are like, well, you stay off social media and focus on football. Well, Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, does a lot of social media. Now, one of the greatest broadcasters of all time and Hall of Fame quarterback is getting into social media. I like whenever old heads kind of dip their toes into new waters like social media. I think Troy Aikman's doing that because his kids play high school football. I've become friend.
Yeah.
Friend. We've texted on numerous occasions. I texted him after he sent out this tweet, told him it was one of the most savage tweets I've ever seen, and he said, I think it's one of my better ones. So I think Troy Aikman is potentially going to keep going on the internet, and I love the fact that he did that. And let's assume, though, that Patrick Mahomes will get 33% of his Super Bowls at some point. What else are people saying, Ty?
Pat, people are saying that the Des Moines Register hates helping sick kids. We're not saying it, but people are saying it, and it's because Carson King, the kid that you saw on College Game Day, had his Venmo sign up, just wanted a couple Busch Lights, ended up raising over $1 million for the Iowa Children's Hospital. Well, the Des Moines Register did a little piece on him. Turns out he had some tweets that were unsavory about 8 years ago, so they dug those up. Anheuser-Busch wants nothing to do with him. Now this kid has to apologize.
So this kid, who is not running for public office, this kid who has zero effect on anybody else's life other than the sick children that he is raising money for. This kid who was just looking for beer money for Busch Light, by the way, which in Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, that's gold.
Okay. This kid turned an idea for beer money into a 7-figure charity fundraiser for sick children. And now Big J journalists have to do what Big J journalists want to do, which is somehow make the story about them, somehow steal clicks, somehow do this, and go into this whenever he was 16 years old. All right? This is something that I think a couple years ago, this kid would have been buried for the rest of his life, probably not able to even get a job, because people started judging people when they're 13, 14, and 16 as if they are actual adults, because they're like, well, they were dumb enough to put it on the internet. It's like, yeah, he's a teenager. You know what you're doing when you were 16? You're an idiot. Everybody was an idiot when they were 16. Now, granted, let's assume like Andrew Luck was not an idiot when he's 16, but a large majority of humans were absolute idiots whenever they were 16. And for some reason, the Des Moines Register decides to ruin everything that this kid's got going on, where he's just trying to raise some money and get some beer money, help out sick kids and do that. And you dive into him quoting Daniel Tosh and Tosh.0 from whenever he was a teenager and try to like smear the whole thing. Like, yo, take a hike, bro. Was he a terrible kid when he was saying those things? I would say he would agree with that. Should he have said anything negative in a way? I would agree that he should never do that. But the only way you live and you grow is by learning through situations. And if we want to allow people to learn as 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds to help them become better humans so that whenever they end up with $1 million in a GoFundMe or a Venmo, instead of just taking that to the bank and running with it, they decide to donate it. If we won't let kids learn to become those type of men, What are we doing? So to hell to the Des Moines Register, to hell with 16-year-old this kid saying something terrible, but amen and cheers to Carson King raising 7 figures, and I hope that this negativity from the fun suckers at the Register do not deter him from the pride that he should have in what he was able to do from Busch Light to sick kids.
Very well said. They're losing my $333 a month. That subscription is done. So
And it turns out the author, not a great guy either.
Turns out the author had some suspect tweets in his past as
How
well.
about that?
Which, by the way, I don't think he should be buried for that as well if he was a teenager. Like I think we live in a new world where the old heads can't fully comprehend that social media is a place where back in the day, people used to have conversations on there. Like their DMs weren't a real thing. Like people were having open conversations on there. People were doing a lot of dumb things, especially when you're in high school and you have access to do this type of stuff. What you think might be cool or might be funny, you might learn through very hard lessons like this one whenever you're younger. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't have done that. But this kid, there's no way he thought to himself, you know what? I should go back through my life and right every wrong that I've ever done because I somehow fell upon $1.5 million here to donate to kids. It's complete BS, and I'm very against it. And this is why the newspaper business is probably dead. What else are people saying, Tom?
People are also saying that birds aren't real. I'm sure you saw the video. There's a guy in Memphis who basically thinks that every avian creature is actually a drone set up by the government to spy on us.
Listen, I love a good conspiracy theory. I am all aboard the conspiracy theory train. I will put a tinfoil hat on at any given moment. I will inhale as many vitamins as I have to somewhat understand what angle you're trying to get to. I'm all in on aliens. I'm all in on the Bob Lazar character. I'm all in on UFOs. I was 100% in on Bigfoot and Sasquatch and all of this stuff. I was 100% in on it until I went Sasquatch hunting, and I said, you know what? This sounds like a fake. This particular theory, though, this particular conspiracy, I had never heard of before until this kid who was on plenty of drugs, it appears, goes on a local news in Memphis and talks about it. Apparently, it had been around since the 1970s. He thinks that the government wiped out every bird that they're in the skies and created drone birds. And I guess he believes that they put bird poop into these birds. They put blood into these birds. And I haven't investigated enough, but what if he's right? What if this kid is right? I need to watch that bird movie again. What was
Birds.
it? Birds, where they try to kill everybody. I'm going to look at it from a completely different angle, and more respect to this kid for not only trolling an entire internet, but also that local news company that put him on there. And I haven't found the proper vitamin to get me to believe in this particular conspiracy theory yet, but I'm not ruling it out, Todd.
Oh, I don't blame you. I think you have to go to some jungle to get that vitamin. It's the one that makes you see in the back of your brain.
Oh,
the MBT.
yeah.
I think that's probably what this guy is into.
Well, I love that it's in Memphis. I love that there's a billboard because I'm going to end up in Memphis for the Navy-Memphis game. Do we have the Memphis coach on right now? We do not.
I was with the kid until he said that they wiped out all the birds and replaced them with drones. Why not just put some drones into the bird population? Because you're right with the blood and the stuff.
Well, and people say bird brain's a real thing, you know, like they're Coach Stewart, God rest his soul, West Virginia Mountaineer coach, my senior year, my special teams coach, all 4 years there. He told me that if a bird had my brain, it'd whistle Dixie and fly backwards. And that's saying a lot because bird brains are known to be very dumb. So if you put my brain in there, it would be even dumber. So the drones, we can just assume they had to make dumb drones to blend in like it was a bird. But if the drones are watching us, I think they are anyways. I don't think they're disguised as birds. I think they're disguised as clouds.
That's, much better.
My theory is that they're disguised as clouds. And they're sitting up there like UFOs. It was, I've never seen UFO. Have you seen a UFO? I'm like, maybe, I don't know. What if they just have it be sky-colored? What if the bottom of it is sky-colored?
Reflective technology.
Have you ever thought of that? Then you're just looking up, oh, look at that cumulus cloud out of nowhere. Wait a minute. That looks off. That cloud is moving awfully quick. It's like, yep, Elon Musk could be in that thing. We don't know. We have no idea. It could be an alien. Yeah. Today's show has been a good one, man. I feel like I really got a chance to lay out why I like Jacoby Brissett. I feel like we got a chance to talk about why the Packers and Eagles on Thursday Night Football is going to be a good football game and why the the Packers are potentially going to figure it out. I think Coach LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are going to get on the same page. I think that defense is really, really good. We have no idea what's going to happen with the Eagles. Doug Peterson is an incredible head coach. Carson Wentz has shown at times flashes of brilliance. They're 2 drops away from being 3-0, but also 1 ball away from being 0-3. James Jones told us that in the first hour. I think it's going to be a good one. I think the Lions have a much better chance to upset the Chiefs than the... I just dropped my headset. Jesus. I think the Lions have a much better chance of upsetting the Chiefs than the Bills do at upsetting the Patriots. I like Bills Mafia. I like the Lions. I like the Chiefs. I like the Patriots. But for me, I think Matt Patricia has a better shot against the Chiefs defense than the Bills do against Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, and Tom Brady. We're supposed to talk to Coach Norville here 5 minutes ago. We have not been able to connect with him. He's the Memphis Tigers head coach. I get a chance to call that game tomorrow night. I have no idea how it's going to go, but it's been a good week thus far.
8 undefeated teams in the NFL. Which one has impressed you the most?
I think it's the Patriots. I think the Patriots have impressed me the most. And if you look at their record on who they have beat, they're 0-9 teams, right?
Correct.
So the teams that the Patriots have beat have been 0-9. So has Tom Brady succeeded due to the suckfest that he has had to play against? Are the Patriots actually not good at football? The teams that they've been playing against have just been terrible. Is Tom Brady not good? Is Tom Brady – that's what people would say right now. That's what people are saying, talking heads are saying on TV. Should Tom Brady hang it up because they're undefeated against teams that are completely defeated? I think the Patriots are the team I'm most impressed with, mostly because somehow that defense is the star of the show. Yeah. It's not even Tom Brady anymore. And once, just like the Packers, once Tom Brady gets hot again and keeps going, which he already is, but if they can keep up with how good that defense is, it seems like Groundhog's Day, which is the day of the Super Bowl, is going to be Groundhog's Day with Tom Brady back there again. Joining us now is Coach Norville from the Memphis Tigers. Coach, how's it going, boss?
Everything's going well, Pat. How about yourself?
Incredible. I'm sorry about the technical issues there. I assume it's our fault, not yours, so I thank you for waiting it out with us there. I get a chance to travel down to Memphis today and see your beautiful city and beautiful campus and chat with you and your coaches. What should we all be looking forward to tomorrow night against that Navy team?
You know, we're looking forward to a great game. It's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. There's a lot of excitement about Tiger football here in the city of Memphis. You know, to have a chance to have a nationally broadcast game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Only college football game on television, so we know a lot of eyes will be upon us, and we're excited about the opportunity.
A couple years ago, you were a 10-win team. Now you're saying the excitement is in Memphis. What do you see in this team that was in the team a couple years ago that you think can continue on and have great success this season?
You know, I think we're growing up as a football team. We've been able to sustain success over the last few years, but we've really been a young football team. In those last couple seasons, I see a team that's really worked hard to improve. The maturity of our players, the understanding of the expectations of what it takes to be successful, and then truly trying to apply that every day. And this can be a great challenge. This is a Navy football team that's playing at an extremely high level. They're operating in every phase as good as I've seen them in the last 3 years that I've been here. And so we know we have our hands full, but we like what this football team has done to this point. I think we've grown in each contest, and we've got to continue to do that to give us a chance there tomorrow night.
You guys are an awesome team to watch on film. It's been fun to watch your team show out and show up. That Navy triple option, though, can wear a team down both mentally and physically. How have you prepared for that? Have you been preparing for, do you put it in the offseason and say, hey, we got to face this early in the season, or is it just this week of preparation? Let's hope the boys can figure it out and see how it goes against an offense that is unorthodox.
Yeah, it's so unique to go against an offense with this style, and so we plan throughout the year to try to get opportunities to work against it. We'll take a couple days in spring practice. We'll have video sessions in the summer, and then even in fall camp, we'll set aside a couple days just to work on Navy. And it worked out well that this year is our first conference game, so it kind of times up well in that regards. But then it really forces every unit, each side of the ball to do its part, and you got to be efficient in the possessions that you have offensively. The thing that we've learned over the last couple of years is that if you turn the ball over, it's dang near impossible to beat these guys. And last year we had 4 turnovers, and we came up on the wrong So, that's something we really spend a lot of time and continue to preach. But we got to play a disciplined brand of football. You got to be efficient with every possession, and then got to do a great job of getting them off the field when you have the opportunity.
That sounds like a smart move, by the way, Coach. I am no football coach, but that seems like the right move. Speaking of right move, you guys have a live tiger down there named Tom. What are you expecting out of Tom on Thursday Night Football?
We expect big things out of him. He's got to show up. Hopefully, he's down there in the south end zone, so we need him to do his part as well. But it's a. I tell you, that's what my daughter's favorite part of coming to every game is getting to see Tom. She can really give a crap about me, but she loves seeing Tom down there in the end zone, and it's a pretty cool deal.
Coach, you were an incredible athlete in college, wide receiver, Caucasian wide receiver. He normally runs great routes, normally lunch pail guy, first one in, last one out, coach's son. What is being a player transitioning into a coach? How has that helped you think?
You had to overcome a lack of athleticism. So, I had to be detailed in everything that I did, and I love this game. This game is the greatest game in the world, and playing the receiver position it's a very technical position, but also one that includes each aspect of the game, and so that's something that's kind of carried over with me. Just trying to have a great work ethic in all that I do, trying to make sure that the mental part of the game is something that we really preach to our guys. That if you know where you're going and you understand your job and responsibility, then you have a chance to play the game fast. And we just try to maximize our potential in every phase and all that we do, and that's something I try to do as a player as well.
Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough. I'm actually about to hop on a plane to fly down and meet you this afternoon. Good luck on Thursday night. Thank you for your time, and I can't wait to meet you, Coach. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Norville. Thank you, Coach. All right, he's off the air, as we are about to be as well. Hell of a Wednesday. It flew by. I can't thank you all enough. Donnie, Joe, Brian, Max, and Eric, sorry we couldn't get to your phone calls. We ran out of time here today. 2 hours seems to be too quick, to be honest. It's an honor to be on your radio. It's an honor to be on your internet if you're watching us. I think 2 hours is a little bit too quick. We have too much to talk about, but that means good news for tomorrow, where we will be live in Memphis, Tennessee, in the back of a box truck. I think it's only going to be about 120 degrees in there. Tim McAfee installed another air conditioner. We are off and running. Wednesday, September 25th is in the books for the Pat McAfee Show. We hope we entertained you, informed you, enlightened you, and hopefully didn't offend you. And if we did, go fornicate yourself. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been the Pat McAfee Show from Indianapolis, Indiana. Cheers.